I want to give it to you, be like.
Okay, we're live.
Alright. So should we just start?
Yeah, you can start. There's gonna be a lag, so.
Okay. Give us a 1, 2, 3 action.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
All right, great. Hello, welcome. We'd like to welcome Herb to Apollo. We're so excited to have you here, and we're so happy that you're tuning in because we want to share with you our passion, who we are, where we come from, and the love we have for marijuana. My name is Tani Raz. I'm the business developer here at Apollo Applied Research and Apollo Marijuana Clinic, and I'd love to tell you how it all came to be. So actually in 2013, the founder, Brian Hendon, had a little passion project going on for him where he was seeking out doctors to find out if medical cannabis was the right treatment for the situation that he was personally going through. And also being the co-founder of a pain clinic, he talked to a lot of specialists that kept telling him, you know, we don't feel comfortable, and the incredible results we've received. We're happy to share with you where we're heading, forward from now. And Chanel is going to enlighten you on how to legally obtain medical cannabis.
Hi everyone, my name is Chanel. I am the project manager at Apollo Applied Research. As Tani mentioned, we see thousands and thousands of patients. So we see many patients that range from 6 years old of age to 106 years old of age. A lot of the patients that come in are very naive to cannabis, have never tried it before, have tried it once. We also have patients who come in who would consider veterans to cannabis. There's many different ways to come into our clinic. A referral is preferred from a doctor. If your doctor is very, very, very old school, not okay with cannabis, there's other ways to come into our clinic. So you could come in with a list of your prescribed medications for your condition, or sometimes you can come in with supporting documentation for your condition as well. Supporting documents are very easy to get a hold of. It could be an ultrasound, x-ray, MRI report, or even consult notes from your doctor. Since I mentioned veterans that come into our clinic, so not only veterans to cannabis, but veterans who've served in the Canadian Army. So veterans are covered 100% coming into our clinic, as well as they're covered by their licensed producer itself. So they get free cannabis, which is pretty cool. We also deal with first responders and RCMP. They are also benefits for them. They get discounts from many different licensed producers as well. Another cool thing about Apollo Applied Research is we see patients all across Ontario. So you're able to virtually do that through a system that we call telemedicine. So we can easily access you, and you can access your prescription through us as well. During your appointment at Apollo, you'll go through a few different steps. You'll meet a couple different people. We usually like to go through a in-depth medical history with you to get a full detail of what's going on. You'll see the doctor, and once they prescribe, you go through something that we like to call education and orientation. So our lovely colleagues here teach you about your cannabis, how to properly use it, as well as set you up with a licensed producer. What is the benefit of coming to our clinic versus going to a dispensary? The benefit is that you can get strains of cannabis that are tested, regulated, and you know exactly what's in your cannabis. Wouldn't you guys want to know what's exactly in your cannabis and what you are smoking? Of course. Our clinic in general facilitates for many different licensed producers across Canada. So there are 35 that you can choose from, and we help set them up for you. Remember, having a medical document allows you to legally possess cannabis, and there still are many rules that follow with that as well. That's it for me.
That's great. So
Sorry, can we all just raise the volume a bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks.
So one of the advantages of knowing what cannabis strain you're getting is that, like any other medicine, or if you like that strain because you enjoy it, you can always reorder the same thing because you know exactly what it's called and where it's coming from. So Toyosi is going to share with us the difference between some of the strains and what to expect.
Actually, Chanel, that was some pretty killer information that you gave. And, speaking of things that can kill you, did you know that cannabis can actually kill you?
What?
It's true. In fact, a lethal dose of cannabis can be obtained if you were to consume 1,500 pounds of cannabis in a span of 15 minutes.
So in other words, it's not humanly possible.
No one has ever died from it, but technically it is possible.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. No, there's never been a reported death.
Yeah.
So Toyosi, enlighten us.
All right, make sure you don't try that at home, okay? All right, so guys, hello, ladies and gentlemen. So my name is Toyosi. I talk really fast, so I'm just going to try and slow it down. But Toyosi rhymes with Toyota. I'm not Japanese, obviously. But every time you see a Toyota, you can think about Toyosi. So I work obviously at Apollo. I'm the patient educator here. So I get to meet a lot of patients from age 6 or age 106, and they come, with different reasons and different issues. So I'm going to just talk about the licensed producers real quickly. My colleague Chanel already spoke about it, but there are over 35 licensed producers in Canada. They range from being in BC, which is, we know where that's from to Alberta to Ontario here. So the good thing about the licensed producer, as we spoke about, is that you know exactly what you're getting. And not only that, the licensed producer know that there are a lot of people who are not working. So they're an ODSP, Ontario Works, they are on CP with disability. We have a lot of elderly patients coming here, and we all know, what they get from the government is really not that much to support them. So the licensed producer offers something called compassionate pricing. Basically what that means is that they will give you a certain discount based on either your income, if you're on ODSP, as I mentioned, if you're on Ontario Works. So they try and subsidize the cost for you because, the government isn't covering it, insurance are not covering it, and it does add up. So the licensed producers are there to, to help you to make sure that you are able to afford this. And as I said, they know it's not cheap and it's not easy. And also with the licensed producer, I get patients coming into my office and they're like, can you set me up with a licensed producer that's close by? And I'm like, not to worry. They all ship directly to your place, so you don't need to worry about driving there, getting it there. It's coming directly to your place, so you know what exactly you're getting. And then I said the licensed producer, you know exactly what you're getting, and you know exactly what you're getting. So one of the first question I get from patient once they enter the office is, well, I don't want to get high. And because, they've had some, they smoked when they were younger, and either they got really anxious or paranoid. And I try to ensure them that with cannabis, with the licensed producer, you know what the percentage of THC that you're getting. So I'll touch upon THC. So in cannabis itself, there are over 400 active ingredients, and out of those 400, scientists have found over 100 cannabinoids. So cannabinoids are THC, they're CBD. So let me touch upon THC. So THC is probably what we all know. So that's the a cannabinoid that gives you that euphoric feeling. And that's the one that the patient get, I don't want to get high. But THC has a lot of therapeutic effects. So it's usually known as a bad cannabinoid, but it's, as I said, it works well. So it helps with your sleep. It helps with patients suffering from PTSD, with depression. It helps with, appetite. So that's where we get the munchies from. So a lot of patients who are going through chemotherapy that they can't eat, THC will help them, to eat. A lot of patients who are nausea, so who are going, suffering from HIV, they need the THC to help them eat. So it has a lot of therapeutic effect. And then we have CBD. And so CBD is known as the good cannabinoid. And in case you don't know what CBD is, I'm sure you know. But in case you don't know, I don't know if you guys have watched the documentary with Dr. Sanjay Gupta on CNN with the little kids using CBD for epilepsy and seizures. So CBD will help, CBD has neuroprotective component to it. It's been known to help with patients suffering from inflammation. So either arthritis, Crohn's disease, UC, IBS, so many inflammation, osteoarthritis. So CBD has been known to, to help relieve some of those symptoms. And it also helps with anxiety. So, CBD and THC works really well together. And the good thing about the licensed producers, with the THC, you can get THC ranging from, a strain ranging from no THC to, over 25% THC. So you get to choose what exactly you want. You can get to say, hey, I want something with no CBD and a lot of THC, or I want something with more CBD and a lot of THC. You are in total control of what you order. And as Chanel and said, you know exactly what you're getting every time you go to a licensed producer. And in terms of that, and then we have terpenes. So I said there's over 400 active ingredients in cannabis, and we have terpenes. So that's, that's the one that gives you that smell, the lemon smell, the sweet skunk. So with terpenes, has a lot of therapeutic effect as well. So scientists are finding out that all of this, so with the CBD, with the THC, with the terpenes, CBN, CBG, all of these active ingredients have to work well together, and it's called the entourage effect. So they have to work synergistically in order to feel a therapeutic effect. And as I said, with the licensed producer, you know exactly what you're getting. And then even in that, there are different strains, different species of plant with cannabis. So we have the indica and the sativa. Generally speaking, indicas are more for your nighttime. That's what gives you the couch lock look. That's what helps with your sleep. That's what helps relaxes your muscle. People tend to use this in their nighttime, but you know what? I get patients who, everyone reacts to cannabis differently. So generally speaking, it's more for your nighttime, but Some people would rather use it maybe in their afternoon. And then there's sativa. So sativa is, as I said, generally speaking, is more for your daytime. It gives you that energy, helps you focus. Patients suffering from ADHD, they would use it. Patients suffering from depression, they would use it. And if you're one of those ones, so if sativa helps you I've had patient come into my office and said sativa helps them with sleep. And if you're one of those patients, comment down below. It's always good to read this because with cannabis, I'm always learning because there's so many information out there, and I'm always just taking it all in, just getting it because it's always changing. Research is there, and like we're all learning here. We all know that cannabis is changing. There's a lot of new information coming. So if indica helps you get out there and make and be happy, let me know because it's always good to communicate this. It's always good to know. So as I said, and then you have the hybrid. So hybrid is usually, it could be an indica dominant strain or sativa dominant strain, or it could be like 50-50. So with a licensed producer, you are able to know exactly what you're getting. We usually tell patients that once they start their cannabis, they should always record what they're using because then you know what works well for you. Hey, maybe CBD helps me with my sleep, or you are able to, you're in full control. I've had patients who use THC and that when they go to social activities and, they're able to interact. And I take that for granted because, I think I interact well, but I take that for granted. And for him, he was able to just go out there and interact with patients. And, I get patients who are suffering from
Cannabis?
It's so easy. So it's like, I love shopping. Like, I buy shoes. Like, my mom goes crazy. And she's like, stop buying shoes, but I love shoes. So, yeah, you go online and you just add to cart. And that's it. And they take all kind of payment. And it's a good question. I get patients like, well, I don't have a credit card. I'm like, that's not a problem. They take Visa. I don't want to go out there now, but they take Visa, debit. They take everything. So they're there to help you out. So, as I said, you can even call them. So I get the elderly patient who's like, I don't use computers. And I'm like, it's okay. You can talk to someone live. You can call someone and you can speak to them. Some of them are 24 hours. Some of them work till late. So it's like they're all there to help you. And it's just like adding those shoes. Like, 1, 2. I go off. I love shoes. I love shopping. Sorry. But it's that easy.
Awesome. That's so informative. One thing I really love about cannabis is growing up, there was this stigma attached to it. And like, don't do it, it's bad for you. And now I got my own grandmother trying it, and it's helping her. It's doing wonders. So, it's evolution. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Speaking about my grandmother, I have her using oils. So there's different types of cannabis and how they come. Excuse me. And Holly, I'd love if you can tell us a little bit about the difference.
Sure.
Actually, sorry, before you start talking about oils, Holly, I just want to say to TRC, that was really well done. And it's kind of a funny thing. A lot of patients come into our clinic and they'll look at me, they'll look back at TOC, they'll look at me, they'll look back at the OC, and I get this question all the time. They say, "Are you two related?" And we're not. But interestingly enough, beer and cannabis are actually related. I don't know if you guys knew that. It's true. Beer hops are actually in the same family of flowering plant as cannabis.
Guess what we're making?
Brewing
beer cannabis.
Too common.
I don't know.
Not yet.
Soon, I bet.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey guys, my name's Holly. Like Toyosi, I'm also a patient educator here at Apollo. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with dry cannabis. It comes in either bud/flower form, and you can roll it into a joint. You can put it in a pipe or a vaporizer. And with this method of direct inhalation, you're actually getting the THC and CBD directly into your body almost immediately. So the peak effects with using dry cannabis is within 5 to 10 minutes, and the therapeutic effects can last anywhere from about 1 to 4 hours depending on the person. So using dry cannabis is really best for that quick, short-term symptom relief. So a lot of people enjoy that, and I know Shayna will talk about oils in just a bit. In terms of consumption methods of dry cannabis, though, you can, like I said, you can either smoke, or the more popular or up-and-coming method is vaporization. So we have a couple of vaporizers here. Grinder. Basically, with a vaporizer, you put your dry cannabis inside of it, and the little heating oven in here will gently warm the plant matter to release the THC and the CBD while not causing any smoke. So you're really getting all the therapeutic effects without sort of any of those carcinogens. So there's a few reasons that vaporization is an ideal method, especially for medical marijuana. The first reason is it's healthier. So you get about 95% less carcinogens with using a vaporizer as compared to smoking. So it's really much better for your upper respiratory tract. The second reason is it's more efficient. So although a vaporizer is a little bit of an initial investment, it does save you money in the long term. How? Because you're actually using less cannabis for the same desired effect. So let's say in a joint you would put 0.5 grams of cannabis. This vaporizer here, it holds about 0.1, 0.2. So you're getting the same effect with much less cannabis, saving you money in the long term. And the third reason you might want to use a vaporizer as opposed to smoking is it's more discreet and convenient, especially for medicating on the go. Everybody knows what cannabis smells like when it's smoked. Some people like it, some people don't. But with a vaporizer, it smells more like burnt popcorn, so it's easier to smoke to vaporize rather in more public places, or to vaporize on the go without really drawing attention to yourself if you don't want to do that. And it also, because there's no smoke involved, it doesn't cling to fabrics or to couches and stuff. So vaporizing indoors is an option for you. Let us know in the comments if you're using vaporizers, if you like smoking, why. We always like to know what's going on, so just let us know.
Fantastic. So, it's great that that's one of the options, but now there's so many other options coming out, and one of them is oils and edibles.
Yeah. Absolutely. So,
Actually, Shayna, before you get into that, Holly, that was a great job as well.
Oh, thanks, Michael.
Yeah, and it's interesting. There are lots and lots of vaporizers now these days. Not quite as many as there are Starbucks, but interestingly enough, did you know in Colorado there's actually 3 times as many dispensaries as there are Starbucks?
Wow. I would like to live
We
there.
need to go to Colorado.
We're all moving.
yeah.
Go ahead,
Group
Shayna.
Group
Sorry
chat.
guys,
Yeah.
Paul's no longer in Toronto.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Facebook. I am Shayna. I am the clinic manager here and the unofficial in-house baker. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about edibles. So by a show of likes, Facebook, who out there has ever tried an edible? I can see you. So right now in the legal world, there are 2 ways of consuming medical cannabis. As Holly mentioned, there is dry and then there are oils. So oils are ingested. You put them right into your mouth or you mix them with food depending on how you want to take it. It generally takes about an hour and a half to 4 hours to kick in. It depends on the person. And they can last anywhere from 6 to 12 hours. So I am a huge believer in writing down a journal. So it is a process for everybody. Something that might help Janine might not help me. Something that might kick in with Chanel within about an hour and a half could take 4 hours to kick in for me. So please keep a journal, write it down, write down the time that you took it, the time that you started to feel better, and then the effects of when it started to wear off, so that you know when you need to take your next dose, so you're always feeling at a good level. Another way of taking medical cannabis, sorry, that is not what I meant to say. There you go. So the licensed producers, they do offer some form of a dosing mechanism, whether it's a syringe or a dropper system. So it's very easy to read. They're all indicated, so you can take your dose properly. So we start off every patient, regardless of your experience, at a pretty low dose, about 0.25 milliliters. So all of the licensed producers, they do have their own concentration levels of their oil, so they all do change a little bit, but we do want to start you off at a low amount, just because the policy is start low and go slow with oils. If you ever have taken too much of an edible, it's not the greatest feeling, so we want to make sure that every patient that comes in here is educated and they take it properly without ever having that feeling that a lot of people have unfortunately experienced. So that's our goal here, is to teach you how to take it slowly, to increase it every few days until you figure out what your therapeutic dosage is. And it does take, we always say, give it at least a month to continue taking your medication. Like any medicine, you need to take it for a little while until you start feeling the effects of it. So please don't give up. So you might ask, since I'm the unofficial in-house baker here, if I make edibles for everybody. The answer is
No.
Unfortunately.
yes. So I do make them for myself. I have done a lot of my own research and development in terms of figuring out the dosage, playing around with the different strains, even just trying the oils from the licensed producers in my own recipes. Regardless of whatever math I think that I'm doing correctly, I always only eat a quarter of it. there is no perfect science that I know of right now, unless I worked for a licensed producer directly and they could test my products. But it's really just, again, starting low, going slow. Take a quarter of that bite, see how you feel, and then take another quarter if you need to, and then work your way from there. And advise your friends if they choose to eat your cookies to do the same, because it's not a great feeling for anybody to take too much. So good luck out there and enjoy. Bon appetit.
Shane, I have a question for you actually.
Sure.
I'm a dried cannabis user. Can I get the same dried cannabis that I order from my licensed producer in oils as well?
So some of them. So the licensed producers actually take their 4 top strains that they sell or that they've seen a lot of patient success with, and then they actually convert it into oil. So they'll take like a high CBD strain, they'll take a CBD THC strain, so it's a good balance, like a 10% THC, let's say 10% CBD, and then they usually take a high THC indica and a high THC sativa, because those are generally what people are looking for. So they'll take, I would say the most licensed producers only have about 4 oils. Some of them do have more. I am a huge believer in personalizing your medicine. Like myself, I like a higher THC, but I also need a higher CBD, so I'll combine the oil. So I'll combine a higher THC indica for nighttime with a CBD, just a little bit of both, so I don't have too much of the effects. But also, interestingly enough, CBD counteracts the effects of THC. So they say if you have about a 4-to-1 ratio CBD to THC, you shouldn't feel that high or that psychoactive effect. So, yeah.
Interesting. You know, that's the beauty about cannabis. There's so much to learn about it. And one of the things that we do here is research. So I'd love to share a little bit about our findings and what we're doing right now. If Jenna could give us a little bit more insight.
Actually, before we delve into the research, I mean, Shane, I just want to thank you for being such a great, really official expert here at Apollo on the topic of edibles. And, you know, talking about official experts, did you know that the United States government's official expert on cannabis between the years of 1938 to 1962 once testified in court under oath that he had smoked cannabis and it turned him into a bat?
Wow. What kind of strain is this?
Yeah.
I wonder what strain he used.
What's the THC percentage?
Or if it was laced with something.
Yeah.
That would make more
Probably.
sense. Yeah.
Okay, so moving back to research, my name is Jenna and I oversee the research studies here at Apollo. So Apollo is a heavily research-focused clinic, and our goal is to empower clinical practice through evidence-based medicine. So ultimately, we're hoping to find the best way to use medical cannabis to treat a variety of conditions. So as a part of our goal, we publish in peer-reviewed scientific journals. Currently, we have 2 large-scale studies running at Apollo. So one is a chronic pain study. So basically for the study, we follow patient outcomes on a monthly basis and examine the effectiveness of medical cannabis in treating the symptoms of chronic pain. So we have some exciting preliminary results from this study. Patients are reporting that there are significant reductions in their pain ratings. But what's really interesting is that they're also reporting that they've been able to cut down on their opioid use. And this is incredible. Yeah, this is fantastic given the well-known side effects of heavy opioid use. So the other large-scale study we have running at Apollo is a PTSD study. So in this study, we're looking at the effectiveness of medical cannabis for treating PTSD symptoms. Again, we have some very exciting preliminary results with this study, and patients are reporting reductions in their PTSD symptoms, reductions in their frequency of nightmares. So we're still recruiting for both these studies. So if you have either of these conditions or know someone who has these conditions, please go ahead and contact Apollo so we can get you involved in this research. And this research is very important for many reasons. First of all, these studies will help us understand the true therapeutic potential of medical cannabis. But we're also hoping that this research will help patients by bringing about changes on a larger scale. So bringing about changes at the level of policy, providing the scientific evidence that insurance companies need to cover these medical conditions, cover medical cannabis for these conditions. So we're confident that this research can bring about many positive changes and improve the lives of our patients. So like we said, we're still recruiting. If you know anyone who has these conditions or if you have it yourself, please contact Apollo.
So thanks, Jenna. So research is important because it's the foundation of being able to prove to the world that something does work, and we could spread the news and share the love and really, embrace what medical cannabis, marijuana has done, will do, and continue to do. So to become part of the study is definitely, it's optional and it's completely anonymous. And honestly, it's just 10 minutes of your time once a month, which is nothing to be able to make some really great positive changes in the world. So let's go back to Michael. And wrap it up so we can answer any other questions if we've missed anything.
Okay. Just a couple things I wanted to talk about. So one of the things that we work on here that we're really proud of is getting our patients coverage for goods and services related to cannabinoid treatment whenever possible. We've had a lot of success actually at getting our patients either fully covered or nearly fully covered. And that includes, medical cannabis, cannabis-related devices like vaporizers, grinder scales, things like that. And each person's situation is a little bit different. So please feel free to reach out to us. Let us know what's going on in your unique situation, and we'll get back to you as to whether or not we can help you actually get coverage. And at Apollo here, all of us work collaboratively towards a common goal, providing our patients with industry-leading healthcare services and treatment. The work being done here really is absolutely incredible, and the results that we're seeing is really beyond anything that we could have anticipated. And we've really only been doing this a few short years, so that on top of it is really remarkable. And it's people like you watching this live stream today that motivate us to come to work every day and actually look forward to doing it. We have patients coming in regularly with pretty unbelievable stories. They talk about how cannabis has changed their lives. I mean, people with PTSD, anxiety, depression, chronic pain, sleep disorders, the list goes on and on and on.
Fibromyalgia.
Yeah, exactly. And, we've had patients tell us that, they slept through the entire night for the first time in more than 10 years. Patients that can now confidently tackle a once daunting flight of stairs. Patients that are no longer shackled by their crippling psychological conditions. And patients that come to our clinic in tears. And they're telling us how medical cannabis has literally changed their lives. Apollo's doing world-class research demonstrating the efficacy of medical cannabis in the treatment of really a litany of ailments and conditions, some of which I've mentioned. And our research, some of which has already been published, has been groundbreaking in shaping the landscape of public perception. Where there was once overwhelming social stigma associated with cannabinoid therapy, there's now far more acceptance. This acceptance is coming in part from word of mouth, but ultimately a lot of it relies on the veracity of our research, which is demonstrating very clearly that medical cannabis works. And medical cannabis, it's no longer the future of medicine. Medical cannabis is here right now, and it's changing lives every single day. But we can't do it without your help. So please participate in Apollo's research. Contact us. And to all of you listening, we'd love to hear from you. Tell us about your positive experiences with medical cannabis. Thank you all so much for watching. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have. Questions about our clinic, our research, medical cannabis, or anything at all. Just ask away.
If you guys could just touch on MS.
Okay, so as far as medical conditions are concerned, research is still active and it's ongoing. So we can't say for a fact that, it definitely helps with one thing or another, but we can say that we've received a lot of positive results with patients that do have multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, anxiety, depression, arthritis, and a variety of different conditions that you can find on our website. So I can't say yes, 100% it's good for that, but I can say yes, we've received incredible results and it's definitely worth trying.
Well, I could just touch on that and say my mother-in-law actually has MS and she's tried cannabinoid therapy.
That's
So,
good.
yeah.
Awesome. Pregnancy and marijuana?
So with pregnancy, I'd say just like smoking, even if it's in the oil form, because there hasn't been research done to see the effects on the fetus or the mother during pregnancy, it's advised to not use medical cannabis, marijuana, anything during pregnancy, just to be safe. Better safe than sorry.
Awesome. And do you guys have go-to strains for treating anxiety?
So for most patients that do have anxiety, their usual go-to strain is some form of an indica, which is the one that does relax you and kind of give you that couch lock feeling. like I said, it's different with everyone. So there are those random ones that sativa actually does work for them in that sense. But usually more of the indicas at a kind of a medium
What a
THC level
What a
is usually their go-to.
Yeah, I get patient.
medium THC level.
It
Like
depends.
10
Like 10%
Yeah.
to 15.
And as I said, always depends on the patient.
Yeah.
So I've had patient who use a low and anxiety got worse. So it's like you always have to kind of play with it.
Actually, my mother used the high CBD strain, and it helped with her anxiety.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh.
such personalized medicine.
I'll give a little personal, like for me as well. I do have a little bit of anxiety, and so I do use indicas more for that in general. For me, a higher THC strain of indica is actually more beneficial. That may be because I've been a cannabis user for quite a bit of time, but it's more beneficial for me in that sense.
And like my colleague said, indicas are generally used for somebody with anxiety, and there's so much research that says that. But every time I speak to a patient and they have anxiety and they're either a recreational or they've already had a prescription, so I always ask them, just because we're all learning here. So I'll say, oh, so like what are you using now? And I would say so many patients tell me that they use a high THC sativa and their primary reason is anxiety. So we're all saying sort of different things. It reacts so differently with everybody. We could all have the exact same condition, use the same strain, and have a completely different experience. So it's such a personalized medicine that
Trial and error.
it's a trial and error.
Trial and
really.
error in safe amounts and slowly, so that you can figure out what works for you and then stick to it.
If there's anything else you guys.
So, didn't you have another fun fact for us?
Actually, yes. Since Michael gave all the interesting facts, I'm going to give an interesting fact since it's fair. In 1971, the first thing that was ever bought and sold on the internet was a bag of cannabis.
Wow.
So, marijuana has definitely come a long way,
Yes.
and the future is bright. So, we're excited. We're really excited. And I love when people say, "What do you do for a living?" We say,
I
we
work at a
work
cannabis
with marijuana. So, cannabis is definitely the
Yes.
future. And like Michael said, it's here now. And it's definitely, the future is bright. So, we can't wait.
Yes.
Aside from you, does anyone else have like a personal story with their experience with marijuana or cannabis?
I do have one story that actually really touched me. I remember seeing a patient who walked in like completely given up hope on everything, and I was like, "This is it. If this doesn't work, that's it. I'm done." And 3 months later, he didn't walk in. He literally ran in, and he was on cloud 9.
Yeah.
And that one particular story like really stands out because I remember how he was giving up hope and was just deteriorating, and to see his life turn around within just such a short period of time, I was already a believer, but this was like more like, you know what? Everybody should try this.
I can tell you a personal
Yeah.
experience. So, I mean, I had been, I'll say recreational for about 10 years. Recreational medicinal, I think I had been using it a lot more for medicinal than I even realized, as I'm literally, very sick. And I'm not even kidding, within a half an hour, I looked at him and I was like, so I'm like, what are you making me for lunch? And then we ended up going to Yorkdale, so we went shopping. And then it started to wear off, and then, I started not feeling well again, and I just went outside and I smoked and I felt better. And so it's just like that one experience, like my migraine, and I've told so many patients on a personal level doing educations, I'm like, oh, you have a migraine, try an indica. And that's, there's so many things that I think we've all learned along the way with personal experiences of strains that are more helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my one story.
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
Sorry, yeah.
No, no.
Sorry.
I think just wrap it up.
Yeah, thanks for joining
Yes.
us.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Feel free to go on our website or our Facebook if you have any other questions that we didn't answer. We're happy to help out any way we can.
Absolutely. Cheers.